Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of News in Motion. We hope that you enjoyed your Thanksgiving break and that you ate well this past Thursday and also tuned into some football games as well. But we are back at it again with a brand new week and a brand new episode of News in Motion. Whether you are tuning in through Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or if you're an audio and podcast listener, we just want to say thank you for turning those dials to NIM Today, your news media outlet for relevant commentary and call to action. Shout out to Miss Adrian who's tuning in through YouTube. We see you this morning. We see you this morning. And also make sure that you are staying warm out there. I know here in Columbus, Ohio, it is quite cold out there. It is about 35 degrees out. So make sure that you are staying warm, and staying warm. Without further delay, y'all know what we do over here. Let's get ready for some news in motion.
News in motion.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Adrian, I feel the same way every time I hear that theme music. I feel the same way every time. I see you all coming up in here. I believe Isaiah called out those who were on YouTube. Let me also grab Yvonne Gardner. Good morning to you. Jacqueline, good morning to you on Facebook. And I see Lori Wallace in here on Facebook as well. While we're waiting for people to join us, if you don't mind, please put in the chat how your thanks. Just tell us a little bit about your Thanksgiving. Let us know how things went during your Thanksgiving time. I see Louis Pryor the third rolling up in here as well. So let us know. I actually was driving in. I see you, Danielle. What's up? Good morning. Let's see. I left on Saturday, went to the ATL, returned on Wednesday so that I could do what I told y'all I was going to do on my Thursday. Now, I did not get the pizza because we did not get back in time for me to pick up the pizza. But I did watch the parade, which was amazing. We'll talk about that in a few moments. And I just enjoyed time, just myself and my husband. That was the first time we said it had to be at least 20 years since we were able to do that. So we normally we are either traveling for our anniversary or we are doing a big Thanksgiving meal for all the family. And we didn't do either of those. So it was really, really nice. So put in the chat about your Thanksgiving, if you don't mind telling us about your Thanksgiving and all that was happening there. Also put in the chat, and I don't see Kim Edmondson in here yet, but also put in the chat. Let's see, Adrian said low-key day, enjoyable dinner with family. Good. Put in the chat. I'm waiting on Latrice and I'm waiting on Kim Edmondson to come in here, probably Fred Jones as well. I see you, Marion Jackson. If your football team won or not, okay? So maybe Kim will catch this later or Latrice will catch this later. But the Ohio State Buckeyes lost. They lost for the third time in a row against Michigan. I was extremely disappointed. But I have to say this, though, y'all. What about the 144-year program history that Michigan had not one but two Black head coaches who filled in? We first had Mike Hart. I believe he was the first one. And then we had Sharon Moore for the last two games. And Sharon Moore, I have to be honest and very transparent. I was like, you know what? It's been 144 years. Low key, I'm going to root for him so that maybe he can get a high paying, better coaching job somewhere down the line. So I just wanted to put that out there. But I just want to know, did your team win or lose? Did it win or lose? Marianne said that she really enjoyed the parade, family, food, and football. Good morning, Dr. Antoinette. I see you coming in here as well. So let us know what team won for you. What was that like? Let's see. Adrian said Saturday was dismal, but Steelers got the W yesterday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they did. They did. They did. Um, Yvonne Gardner said, no wins for me this weekend. Buckeyes and Browns went down. The Browns did go down. They did go down. Jacqueline says, Thanksgiving was great. Her nephew and wife hosted. That y'all all contributed to the meal. That's always good. Had interesting conversations and games. Okay. My brother said the Cowboys won and the Florida State's, how you say that? Seminoles won as well. So there you have it. So some of y'all are happy, some of us are sad, but it is what it is. All right, y'all, let's get to the news. Let's get to the news. Let's get to the news. Oh, before we do that, today is what we're calling Cyber Monday, y'all. Hopefully, y'all had a great shopping experience this past weekend. If you spent anything, Cyber Monday. Today is Cyber Monday. So check out all the deals that are out there. But we also want to talk about manuscripts and mimosas. If you have any desire to write content for your website, for your social media, if you're interested in writing a blog or writing a book or designing a magazine or script writing for a show of any sort, please check out manuscripts and mimosas. Isaiah's going to put that image up. Yeah, you can join each month. Join now. It's not, the lowest one is $9.99. It's Cyber Monday. We always think about the products that we can hold in our hands, but what about the content that you can hold on for a while? So this Cyber Monday, consider going to gaildudley.com and signing up for manuscripts and mimosas. This coming Friday, we will have Dr. Kim Carter with us, who's going to be teaching this group. It's 1 hour from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For 1 hour, she's going to talk about how to turn our writing into making money as an online course. So again, if you're even thinking about writing, even if you're into journaling, you can check out Manuscripts and Mimosas. We have a blast and we give nothing but content. Thank you so much, Isaiah. I see Kim Edmondson jump in here, and I just gave you a big kudos, your team a big kudos, and you missed all of that. So you're gonna have to go back and watch the replay, at least the first 5 minutes, so you can see how mature I have become with saying, hey, hats off. And I talked about Sharon Moore. Yes, I did. And how I wanted him low key, wanted him to win so he can get like some big, amazing paying job, something like that. So hats off to Michigan. I just can't believe they lost again. But that Ohio State lost again, but they did. I see you, Deborah Sneed, coming in here as well. Lori says, been dealing with the flu since right before Thanksgiving. Oh my God, right before No Ball. Oh no, that's not good. And I see Sardinia coming in here as well. All right, y'all. So y'all, when you're doing Cyber Monday, don't forget the other people who, even if you don't have a product in here, just say, I want to bless you. There's millions of us out here. So don't forget the other people. And then tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. Find that organization that you want to give to and give. All right, y'all. It was all about the parade for me on Thursday. The Hollywood Reporter shares that the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade draws its biggest TV audience ever. The annual telecast was seen by 28.5 million viewers. Yeah, on NBC. That's not counting the people on the streets. It was amazing with the drones. Now, y'all, I never knew. What's up? What's up, Davia? What's up, Dr. Annette? I never knew until I saw the drones on Thursday. I was literally on my sofa with my pajamas, my mimosa, and my blanket. I never knew that until they got to the Macy's storefront. I never knew it was 2.5 miles. I'm like, I thought they were like coming around the corner. No. So y'all, 28.5 million viewers on TV. And then, yes, hats off to the Black Mrs. Claus, y'all. Yes, Shirley Ralph came out. I'm just waiting for the Black Santa. Y'all, for the first time in 97 years, a Black band kicked it off. That was Alabama A&M, HBCU. Y'all, listen, it was just fantastic, y'all. It was fantastic. Diversity throughout the entire thing. I was there for it. I just need a Black Santa now. Y'all doing too much. But y'all, listen. there were about 30 people who glued themselves on the parade route in a protest they were pro-Palestinians. So that happened. That could have delayed it, but it did not do it at all. And y'all, now I see, if y'all are following the news, now I see why the conservative legal group headed by none other than Stephen Miller, who was a former White House advisor to the former guy, has accused Macy's of implementing a racially discriminatory diversity plan. Say what? Yeah, so he filed that the day before Thanksgiving. America's first legal filed a federal civil rights complaint with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. That's the EEOC. On actually it was on Tuesday. Excuse me, not Wednesday. According to the press release. Yeah, the complaint alleges that Macy's is intentionally and symptomatically, can't even get that out, violating Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. What are you talking about? Yes, y'all, that's Stephen Miller. He's citing 5 points diversity plan that the retailer released in 2019. And you just talking about in 2023. Okay. So y'all, a letter was sent. And the AFL asked the EEOC to file a commissioner's charge against Macy's. Such charges, which can be filed by any of the 5 members of the agency's leadership panel, are relatively rare, with only 29 filed in 2022. Now, this is fiscal year up to 3. There's only been 3 this year, and this makes the 3rd. So whatever. So he sent it to the board chair of directors. Writing it was alerting to them that apparent mismanagement that threatens the waste of companies' assets, institutional disregard for and violation of the federal civil rights law, and breaches the fiduciary duty. What? Take a seat, sir. Take a seat. Take a seat. Take a seat. Take a seat. Yes, Kim Edmondson. She said, say what? Yeah, all that happened. Dr. Antoinette said they were big mad. Listen, they were big mad. They were big mad. Y'all say what y'all want about Beyonce, but listen, y'all, she's taking over again. That like the Renaissance tour is on the subway trains in New York, like across the entire train. So she came out, gave her happy Thanksgiving greeting, and then boom, dropped her movie. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That is how you do it. Y'all, in sad news, on this past Sunday, we lost a beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit, a beautiful person, 96 years old, in the former First Lady, Rosalind Carter. Um, Her husband, former President Jimmy Carter, said in a statement through the Carter Center that she gave me wise guidance and encouragement when I needed it. As long as Rosalind was in the world, I always knew somebody loved and supported me. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. She is known and becoming more known for her heart for mental health. I did a little digging to find out what all this talk was about with the mental health piece and how deep it was running. Well, yeah, there was a landmark Mental Health System Act of 1980, which Rosalind Carter championed while her husband was in office. So this took place in 1980. The measure passed, but it was later stripped of its funding when Ronald Reagan took office in the 80s. It will be another 3 decades before none other than our forever president, Barack Obama, put that mental health piece back in under the Affordable Care Act in 2010. But in 2023, the Biden administration went further with this piece. And I just want to talk about that mental health will be on the ballot in 2024. So, y'all, mental health access is for nearly 150 million Americans. And this is from a study that was conducted by the White House staff, and the West Wing. They say for almost 15 years since the 2008 enactment of the Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act, that's the MHPAEA, a landmark law that called for mental health care benefits covered by health plans which was strengthened on a bipartisan basis in 2020. Now, I want y'all to hear these numbers. It says, yet today, too many Americans still struggle to find and afford the care they need. Of the 21% of adults who have had mental illness in 2020, less than half received mental health care. Fewer than 1 in 10 with a substance use disorder receive treatment. It goes on to say, research shows that people with private health coverage have a hard time finding mental health provider in their health plans network. But yet, y'all, when I was reading all this, I won't read all this to you, but when I was reading all of this and getting an understanding of what was going on, if y'all recall, every time there is a mass shooting, they blame it on mental health, but yet they won't fund it to the place that it needs to be funded. Um, uh, Even today. So, y'all, from 1980 to today, we're talking 43 years later, if I added that correct. 43 years later, we are still struggling to find health care and insurers to pay for those who really need access to this mental health insurance. So, y'all, when you're talking about and looking at your candidates going in, and when y'all, January 2024, we will be in primary season. I want y'all to know that, okay? So even now, we have to start thinking about how do we engage our candidates who are running for office when it comes to mental health. So just a brief critical thinking moment, if you don't mind me to do that on this Monday morning. Some questions to consider would be, what is your understanding of Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act? Asking them that to see if they even know what it is, or even mess them up a little bit and say, can you tell me more about the MHPAEA Act, and see if they even know what that stands for. And then ask, how do they believe it impacts individuals in the community that they're running for? What's up, Mike Nicholson? And then another question, what steps do you plan to take to ensure the effective implementation and enforcement of the MHPAEA? See how they're going to handle that. Another question could be, how will you advocate for increased awareness of mental health and addiction issues within our community, district, and state? That's another way to ask. Another question, do you support any additional legislation or amendments to strengthen mental health and addiction parity? If so, what specific measures do you endorse? Have them drill down into what's really going on, and not them just saying, "Oh, yes, I support it." Well, why do you support it? What do you plan to do? How are you going to implement it? How are you going to ensure the finances and the money? How can you help us understand that you're not going to allow that line item to be cut as it was cut in the 1980s under President Ronald Reagan? Ask those specific questions. What policies or initiatives do you propose to improve mental health services in schools and in the community? How do you plan to address the disparities in mental health and addiction treatment, particularly in underserved communities? Y'all know, I sit down, I start writing these questions when I was reading about her, learning more and more about her efforts and what she was doing and how she was doing it and how that funding was stripped away. Even then, we should have been yelling from the rooftop as to, why would you strip away funding for mental health? Why would you do that? Will you advocate for increased funding for mental health and addiction programs? If so, how do you plan to secure that funding? The how is important when we're asking these questions, which means we need to be attending what, y'all, town hall meetings. How will you collaborate with other policymakers and stakeholders to address mental health and addiction challenges? And then what steps will you take to reduce the stigma associated with mental health and addiction? And how will you promote a culture of understanding and support? This is just the beginning of some questions that we can be asking and thinking through, because it's going to make a difference, y'all, when it comes to the elections in 2024. All right, y'all. Hostage release. On Sunday, Hamas released 17 more hostages in exchange for 39 Palestinians. 24 hostages were released on Friday. So far, by my current calculation, when I woke up this morning, 41 hostages have been released in the first 2 days of the truce. There's also been 61 trucks delivering food, water, and emergency and medical supplies to northern Gaza on Saturday, according to the United Nations. So that's still unfolding. There's still a ceasefire. I believe it ends either today or tomorrow, and then they will go back to fighting. I don't understand it. And again, I don't know enough about it to dig down too deep to give you more information, except for what I know. So I wanted to share that with you. Um, Also, when we're talking about voting, this story has messed me up, and I want to share this with all of you. And y'all let me know if y'all still in here. Let me see. Davia said Macy's too black. Listen, girl, that's really what happened. That's what they said. Good morning, Deborah. She said she tried to log in earlier, nothing was there. Yeah, that's why I might need to come on over here to YouTube. They're messing with me again. They're messing with me again. Um, Mike Nicholson said Geneva Convention stuff. There's that. So yeah, I want to talk about Alabama Hospital. This is serious. This is serious. NBC is they're the ones who started this reporting, and now more and more people are looking into this. But this should probably be headline news everywhere, everywhere. So when I was digging into it, and every news source I went to said another, I was like, so there's more. So y'all, they say another Alabama hospital stops delivering babies amid a maternal and infant health crisis. This all began at 6:58 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning. Dr. Angela Adams Powell addressed the nurses at the South Alabama Hospital, where she had delivered babies for 25 years. Again, NBC News is reporting this. Um, Within the 2 minutes of her conversation, she shared that the development at Monroe County Hospital will be leaving without having a birthing hospital. Pregnant women in the county where 22% of residents live below the poverty line would be forced to travel 35 to 103 miles for their next nearest option. Yeah, this is happening right now. They just shut it down. So again, 22% of the women who are below the poverty line will now, these are pregnant women, will now have to travel 35 to 103 miles for their next nearest option. Here's a direct quote from NBC News. It says Monroe County is the largest in the growing list of hospitals in Alabama where labor and delivery teams have had to say goodbye recently to their labor and delivery departments. It says last month, maternity units closed in Birmingham and Shelby County. It says in rural areas, again, this is a direct quote, such as Monroe County, one closing might leave an entire community without labor and delivery services. More than a third of Alabama's counties are maternity care deserts. Now, talk about food deserts. Now we're talking about maternity care deserts, lacking hospitals with care, birthing centers, providers, according to a report from the March of Dimes, which is, as you all know, a nonprofit organization. Now, Liz Kirby, Monroe County's hospital CEO, said a physician shortage was behind the closing. Keep listening. After the Supreme Court decision overturned Roe v. Wade, some hospitals in state with strict abortion bans have warned that it could become harder to recruit OBGYN through Kirby's, though Kirby said she wasn't aware of how that factors into the case, to what percentage. Now, residency applications for specialty have also dropped because people are choosing not to go there. They don't want to be sued. They don't want to be put in prison. They don't want to be locked up. They don't want to be cast out. They don't want to lose their insurance. They don't want to lose their license, anything like this. So this is what's happening, y'all, in Alabama. More digging, because y'all know I'm nosy, pulled out that more and more hospitals are considering this where there are strict abortion laws. So again, this is going to be on the ballot in 2024. Pay attention to the verbiage, to the writing, and what's being said and how it's being delivered. Even here in Ohio, after the tricks in August, after issue one, the yes one. Did I say that right? Yeah, the yes one. No, because that's confusion. One moment was no, now it was yes. The yes one back in November. They're still trying to write some sort of legislation to even change that, which also says our votes do count. Because if they have to find tricks to change things around, there's that. I'll talk about another story tomorrow. I posted it on my Facebook page. But y'all, there are areas where they're trying to even change voting as to who can vote and how they can vote going into this 2024 election. Y'all, we have to pay attention. Marion Jackson is saying that doesn't make sense. Are these hospitals getting funding from the government, and are they still getting the government? Are they still getting governmental funding? I don't know. I'll have to check into that, and I'll get back to you all this week. Hopefully, I can get an answer for that. So, y'all, that's happening. That's happening. So pay attention. All right, y'all, let's talk shopping. Let's talk shopping. CNBC reports, and this is how the headline reads: Black Friday shoppers spent a record $9.8 billion, y'all. That's with a B, in U.S. online sales. It's up from 7.5% from last year. There's that Black Friday. Y'all, the spending people, y'all were spending some money. Y'all, this all comes from the Adobe Analytics report. They found that electronics and like smartwatches and televisions, along with toys and gaming, are actually the things that happen. Adobe gathered this data by analyzing 1 trillion, 1 trillion visits, y'all, to the U.S. retail website. Y'all, by the way, these numbers do not include brick and mortar, okay? The game has changed. Kim Edmondson says, I am sick of the Ohio voting trickery. Me too. But that's why we have to keep talking about it. We have to keep talking about it. Y'all, shopping on the phone, $5.3 billion of online sales. That was 54% were done through mobile device. And they were saying by the clicks, people were buying in less than 2 minutes. I'm like, so y'all knew what y'all were going for, right? And then they said the buy now, pay later. It says Americans are turning to BNPL. That stands for buy now, pay later, more than ever to stretch their holiday shopping budget. So that's happening. And people were spending up to $700 on buy now, pay later. I guess that's the new layaway. I don't know. Y'all, today we don't know what Cyber Monday will bring, but they are predicting another record number of $12 billion just today on Cyber Monday. When I came on here live this morning, I want y'all to hear this. Already 1 billion was spent. So people were up at midnight shopping on Cyber Monday. Again, y'all, do not forget coaches, consultants, different services. Y'all, think about everybody when you're buying, okay? Just think about everybody. So, y'all, again, do not forget Giving Tuesday. That's tomorrow. Start looking for your organization now and how you want to give to them. Think about those who are food insecure. So, Feeding America. Think about different single moms programs, single dads program, educational program, mental health programs. Y'all, there's so much out there. Think about the people that you can connect with and figure out this is who I want to give to. It is Giving Tuesday on tomorrow. So just as much as you're doing with everything else, make sure you are giving to somebody who's making a difference in your life and the life of your loved ones, or resources or organizations that you're tapping into on a regular basis. Dr. Antoinette said, could it be the reason physicians are leaving is because they fear the potential legal implication, including prisons? Yes. I believe you're right on that. I believe you're right on that. Okay, y'all. We wanted to slow down just for a moment to say, and I struggled. I need to be honest with all of you. I struggled. I reached out to a couple people and asked them to pray for me. When I was off during the summer, God gave me a clear plan. I knew we were coming back in September and we were going to go hard September, October, November. I knew we were going to be here this week. But God had already told me that I needed to break in December, the complete month of December, to come back ready for the primaries, because we don't even see a break in 2024. Although we'll probably take a week here or a week there or something like that. We don't see a break. When the clock strikes midnight, at on January 1st, 2024, you are entering also into primary season. Okay, some of them have moved up. There's a lot going on. We got to do a lot of research. So I was trying to decide what we were going to do. And I said, God, I can't take off December. And God was like, who you telling me that you can't take off December? That's the kind of conversation. That's how I pray, me and Jesus. We have those kind of conversations. So as you all know, I had reported a couple weeks ago that we'll be back the first 2 weeks of December. We won't. We got to take the break so we can be ready to come back. So we just want all of you to know that. So after our segment on Thursday, and I'll be here on Thursday, that's my anniversary, but I've already said, babe, I got to go do the show because I'll be off the whole month of December. And he was like, whatever, Gail. We will be off in December. So we will be here all this week. And we're going to have some fun this week, but we're also going to give you a lot of content and news so that you can start thinking about and considering, okay, where you're, where are we going with this voting in 2024? I don't want to interfere with your celebration and your holidays and all of that, but we got to still put the information out there and you read it at your will when you want to. But we want to get ready. So I'm going to apologize for telling y'all I will be here the first 2 weeks of December. We will not. We're going to do what the plan was, and I'm okay with it. It actually feels good. Deborah Johnson says rest is essential for the long haul. Dr. Antoinette says get your rest. Y'all, we will probably not break in August of 2024. Why? Because that's where the RNC and the DNC conventions are. We will probably not break long term in April. Why? Because that's in the middle, or March, because that's Easter. That's in the middle of primary season. We can't do that. So what we're doing, we're taking this time in December, and we're going to do as much as we can to get us through to the general elections. We're going to go as hard as we can. Now, in saying that, I also need to say this. Pray with us that we get some financing or some resources to be able to give to you everything that we need leading up to this. This is going to be different than the 2020 elections, y'all, that we were still in COVID. So we were all, kind of like at home at remote, doing remote. And I was able to dig up stuff and give y'all the news to get you prepared for the general election in November. 2024 is going to be different. We are fighting against AI, and I don't think y'all understand a lot of misinformation and disinformation. For example, the short stories that I gave you all today, if you only knew the number of hours it took for me to pull all that out, because I'm digging through AI. So there's a lot happening there. So all I'm going to say to you all is to pray for us so that when we return in January, we have what we need to make sure we're giving you, our viewers and our listeners, everything that you need as well. All right, y'all, with that, I have the inspirational message and we're out of here. The inspirational message is rest. Hebrews 4:10-11 says, for anyone who enters God's rest, also rest from their works, just as God did from his. Hello, somebody. Let us therefore make every effort to enter that rest so that no one will perish by following their example of disobedience. And the reason this jumps out at me is because I was about to be disobedient. And that was my wrestling. I was like, God, people need to know God. The people want to see God. And God was like, what are you talking about? Like, what did I say? Go pull back out your plan that you prayed. I gave you details. And y'all, when God gives me details like that, I write it out on a white poster board. And clearly it gave me all the breaks, all of them. And I was about to be disobedient. And so I was like, I can't mess up like that. God has been too good to me to mess up by being disobedient. So, y'all, anyone who enters God's rest also rests from their works, which means if we are really resting in God, we have to stop wrestling. We have to stop with the sleepless nights. We have to stop vacillating back and forth as to what to do. Well, I should do this. No, what we got to rest, which means we rest from the works when we get into his space and rest. And let's make every effort. That was the other thing that jumped out to me to verse 11. Make every effort to enter that rest so that no one will perish. Do you understand that when we are not resting, this is what I got from this scripture. When we're not resting, we're setting ourselves up to burnout, to probably face depression and oppression. Our mental health is at stake and at risk. We are doing these things. So we find ourselves in that place of perishing by following the examples of y'all, disobedience, excuse me. We have to pay attention to our bodies. We have to pay attention to how we're feeling, and we have to find a way to block out everyone else around us, because other people may have good intentions for us. But hear me when I say this, but they don't know the conversation that you and God had. They have no idea what that conversation is. Even you trying to explain that conversation is not going to help them at all. It's not, because they're not going to have an understanding of where you are and what's actually going on with you. And it's not for you to sit there and try to prove to other people why you are responding or feeling or doing those things that you do, which also brings in that we have to have a boldness and a confidence within ourselves to do what God has called us to do, which means at times you may even stand alone, and that's okay. That's okay. I was asking God, I'll be very transparent. I was asking God, I was like, well, God, if the resources don't come, what? And he didn't answer. So I'm like, I have no idea what's to come, because I wanted to know if the resources do not show up, what? Where do we go? God, you know how crucial this 2024 year is. I'm not saying I'm the only news in town, but I do believe that I'm the only news giving the information that we're giving the way that we're giving it. So if I'm not here, God, what are the people going to do? He did not answer me. He has not answered that question. So we will wait and see. But y'all, that's the message for today. That's the news headlines for today. Don't forget, enjoy Cyber Monday. Don't spend all your money, y'all. Don't spend all your money. Giving Tuesday is tomorrow. Start researching some organizations now and understand you can give $1. There are some organizations, they're like, if 1,000 people just give $1 for food insecurity, they're able to feed probably half of that, probably 500 of that. So y'all just be mindful, vet the organizations that you're giving to, and then do it with a generous spirit and a joyful spirit, because I believe that's even going to come back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. All right, y'all, until tomorrow, I am your host, Gail Dudley. This has been News in Motion. Y'all know what I say. Y'all know what I say. Stay well, everyone. And remember to make some bold moves. We're out.
News in motion.